G'day headbangers and welcome to Dozel's Metalworks. Welcome back my fellow metalheads to another week, another session of Dozel's Metalworks. Now, another countdown this week. This year we're taking a trip back in time to everyone's favourite year, no just kidding, 1991. So yeah, here we go. The honourable mentions as usual, first off. Okay, so the first one is one of from a classic rocker who we all know and maybe or maybe not love, but Alice Cooper and his album, Hey Stupid. Now this is a good one because track 2 that I like is Hey Stupid, it's title track, good song. And number 1 is probably one of my favourite Alice Cooper songs, Feed My Frankenstein, where I actually heard this for the first time on the Wayne's World soundtrack when I went and saw that movie. Great movie, love it. But yeah, that's that one. Second one is the only time I ever got into a death metal band. Band is Entombed. And the album is Clandestine. It's actually an album I can actually sit down and listen to, because usually I'm not a fan of the death metal, but there you go, we found one. And the third one is a band that I didn't actually think I'd mention in any of my countdowns, but it was a pretty good album and they were pretty popular in that period of time in the 90s. The whole grunge movement, I was never a fan, but anyway, that's Nirvana's Nevermind. Yeah, as I said, the fact that I put a grunge album in this countdown is pretty interesting. But I must admit, Smells Like Teen Spirit and Come As You Are were absolutely fantastic songs, and yeah, I just had to mention them. So there's my honourable mentions. Now, number 10, part 1 of this, I guess. Use Your Illusion 1 by Guns N' Roses. So I'll go straight into these 3 songs because, you know, it's Gunners. Just get straight into it there. Honourable mention is obviously Live and Let Die, originally done by Paul McCartney and Wings. Then number 2 is Don't Cry, the actual original lyrics for this one. Wasn't a fan of the alternate version, so yeah. The number 1, probably one of the most popular songs, an absolute classic, part of a trilogy of songs, November Rain. Now everyone always used to wonder, how did the chick die at the end? So I've done a bit of research in that, and when I had paid close attention to the video clip, when you see her in the coffin, she's got a mirror. So there was a rumour that she'd shot herself, and you have a look, she's got a mirror separating her face, so that's probably how she died, self-inflicted gunshot wound. So there you go. Right, so number 9, well look at that. It's the second one, Use Your Illusion 2. So, the number 3 for that one is Get in the Ring. I think that's Axl Rose being a bit antagonising there, but what do you expect? Number 2 is Civil War. Absolutely fantastic song, that one. And then, of course, You Could Be Mine, which most of you should know, was used in the Terminator 2 soundtrack. Fantastic song. Love the video clip, because Arnie was in the video clip as the Terminator. Really good appearance from him there. You know, that's number 8. So number 8 is A Little and Enough by David Lee Roth. Now, this is one of these albums where I've listened to the whole album. Wasn't a huge fan of it, but the why it's number 8 in the countdown is the title track, A Little and Enough, is my second David Lee Roth solo album career song, so that's in there for that. Now, number 7, not so much metal, but more of just a good rock band here. Lean Into It by Mr. Big. Love the album cover for this. Basically, a steam locomotive has crashed out the side of a station and half on the street. So, interesting one there. This one I haven't got really an honourable mention. I just named my 4 favourite tracks for this album. So number 4 is Green Tinted 60s Mind. Number 3, To Be With You, one of the classic ballads that made the top 10 here in Australia. Just Take My Heart, number 2, another great ballad there. And definitely my favourite song by Mr. Big, Daddy, Brother, Lover, Little Boy, the Electric Drill song. But that's number 7. So number 6, classic band here, classic rock band from the 80s and 90s. Didn't have that a huge amount of albums. Slave to the Grind by Skid Row. So another album where I'm going for the top 4 tracks. So number 4 is The Threat. Number 3 is Living on a Chain Gang. Number 2, the title track Slave to the Grind. And quite possibly one of my top 3 Skid Row songs, Monkey Business. So that's a fantastic track there. So yeah, get into that. Now, number 5. One of the very few times I'll ever have an Australian band in my countdown. All for One by the Screaming Jets, Australia's own, from Newcastle. So, now the honourable mention is FRC. I'm not going to explain what that stands for. You'll have to figure it out for yourself if you don't already know. Number 3, first track off the album, Come On. Number 2 is Stop the World, another great track. And number 1, it's pretty obvious, pretty much most people I know love this track if it's not their favourite. The song that made them huge here in Australia and probably around the world, Better. Fantastic song there. Okay, number 4. Now this album, apart from the greatest hits, this is probably my favourite album from these guys. For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge by Van Halen. Obviously usually given a nickname, but obviously can't say it here on YouTube. So, honourable mention, there's actually 3 for me on this one. Judgment Day, Man on a Mission, and Dream Another Dream. Third favourite song is Runaround. Second favourite song is Pleasure Dome. And number 1, probably one of my favourite Van Halen songs, Pound Cake. Okay, number 3. One of the few albums that I like from this band. I'll try and get into them a lot more, but I do have my favourite 3. Okay, The Human Factor by Metal Church. Pretty good band, Metal Church. I really only got into them when they had Mike Howe as their lead singer, may he rest in peace. But my third favourite song there is The Final Word. Number 2 is In Mourning, very, very powerful and sad song, that one, because it's kind of true in real life, what it's about. But, you know, these things happen. And number 1 is Human Factor, which a few friends of mine have listened to the song and pretty much agree what it's about. It's about plug in a computer, and a lot of these artists just use all artificial made music. You know, that's why I like metal, because it's all real instruments, and that's why Human Factor is a great song, because it takes the piss out of all those other artists who don't use real instruments and just use computers. There you go. Okay, now this one's a classic. No More Tears by Ozzy Osbourne, the man himself. So, honourable mention for this one is Desire. Number 3, Hellraiser. 2, No More Tears. And number 1, even though I'm not a huge fan of what the lyrics are about, Mr. Tinker Train. Now this is a fantastic album and shows just how fantastic a guitarist Zakk Wylde is when he came into the band. So yeah, that's number 2. Now number 1. Well, this is my favourite album from this band. A lot of people say they sold out from this album onwards and wasn't a fan. That was, well, screw you, hippie. Number 1 is Metallica by Metallica, also known as the Black Album. Now, honourable mentions, well, like I said, it's my favourite album. To me, the whole album is fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. Banger, corker, rip snorter, whatever you want to say. Absolutely fantastic. But my 3 standout tracks is My Friend of Misery, Of Wolf and Man, and probably, if not one of my favourite, probably my top 5 Metallica songs, Enter Sandman. Now, like I said, a lot of people reckon they sold out. Not people that aren't a big fan, but I'd say, look, if you're a fan, it doesn't matter, you know, how good or bad the album is, you like them no matter what. So anyway, that's my top 10 from 1991. If you like my content, like and subscribe. Until next time, mosh on.